first move, we may talk about the theory, we may talk about the field, but the point is that in this type of introduction, we do not have enough space to talk about the detail of the theory. So, in the introduction, the detail or full description of the theory is not given. Some cases, in some studies, in some theses, a separate heading is given for a theoretical framework. Theoretical framework in the first chapter. Sometimes a separate heading, which is called theoretical framework, is given in the first chapter, just talking about the theory or theories behind the study. Sometimes, but if the theoretical framework was not provided in the first chapter, it will be given fully in the second chapter, which is called literature review, providing a full description and detailed explanation on the theory behind your study. Okay?
Sorry, Doctor?
Yes.
Actually, the internet is very weak in Iraq, so I have a problem with my mic.
Okay. Any comment?
Doctor, I ask about can or can't. I ask about the aim of the study. Aim of the study. I ask about give the question and try to have answer for these questions. This I mean.
Aim, if you are asking about the aim of the study, yes. Aim of the study is the last move of the introduction. After providing the gap, the aim or purpose of the study is given as the last move of the introduction. If you're asking about the research questions, I answered your question actually. Sometimes, in some cases, at the end of the introduction, the research questions will be given. Sometimes not. Sometimes the research questions are not provided at the end of the introduction. They will wait up to for a separate heading. Yeah, that's optional.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome. Okay, any other comment, any other question? Yes, Mona.
Yes, Doctor. In move 4, introducing present research. The first submove is giving the purpose, and the second submove is describing present research. Can we say describing research represents the significance of the study or not, dear Doctor? Can you clarify for us?
Which move can serve as the significance of the study? Which one?
Introducing present study has 2 submoves. The first submove is giving the purpose. We should give the purpose of the study. Then describing present research. Describing present research, can we consider it or represent the significance of the study? For example, we should...
Yes, go on.
Yes, we should say or clarify why this study is important, why we need to study this issue or problem.
Yeah, I got the point. You're raising. To be honest, yes. I don't think that it would be a good position, a good place to talk about the significance of this study. To say that this study is important. This study is significant because of this, because of that. I don't think that it is a good place, because in writing thesis, in writing research proposal, we'll have another separate heading, which is called significance of the study. Because of this, it is not okay, it is not appropriate to talk about the significance of the study at the end of the. We'll have a separate heading, which is called significance of the study. And in that heading, we'll talk about the detailed description and detailed explanation on the significance and importance of the study. In this regard, it is not appropriate to talk about the significance of the study here at the end of the introduction. Just telling the reader the purpose of the study is enough.
Yes, Doctor, you mean only full description, or just about our present research?
Just about the present research. Full description of the research is not needed, because in writing research, in writing thesis, we'll have another heading which is called the purpose of the study. Just a sentence at the end of the introduction. Just a sentence, just a sentence, a very short paragraph maybe, talking about the purpose of the study, because we'll have a separate heading which is called purpose of the study. We'll have a separate heading which is significance of the study. We'll talk about those issues there. Okay, thank you. Any other comment? And any other comment? Any other point?
You are now unmuted.
Hey, Darius. Let me interrupt you. What do you mean in the introduction? We try to give the reader the gist of the thesis. So if introduction gives the gist of the thesis, what happens in the abstract? Let me clarify the point you're raising. When you talk about the gist, it means you are talking. No difference between gist and main point. Gist means main idea, means main point. Let me clarify the point, because here we are talking about some technical issues, talking about some technical terminologies. We should be careful in describing them, in talking about them. When you say let's say a piece of information provides a gist of something, it means it gives us those main points of that piece of information. Introduction does not provide us with the gist. Gist here is more related to abstract, because abstract gives real. Introduction serves to provide the gap and purpose. Gap and purpose. These are the main aims of introduction. Okay, go on, Haydar. If you have any other comment, I'll listen.
You are now unmuted.
Do you have any other point? You're welcome. You're welcome.
Unmuted. You are now unmuted. You are now muted.
Haydar, Jawad, any other comment?
You are now unmuted.
Okay, let me add another point. Hey there, Jawad. Yes. Okay. Okay, I
You are now
will turn
muted.
it. Yeah, it is turned up. Okay, let me add another point, then we can go to the example. Later on, Swale, if I'm not mistaken, Swale 1990 tried to revise. Did you study the revised version as well or not? I think no, you didn't study the revised version. Later on, Swale 1990 revised this four move of introduction. Swale revised this four move and said that instead of four moves, we can say three moves. I don't want to talk about Swale's revision. I don't want to talk about Swale's modification on the moves because in reality, no improvement was made on the issue. Just let's say a matter of terminology was done in doing that. Okay, do you hear me? Do you have my... Yeah, I'm so sorry
You are now
for
muted.
the interruption. There was a problem in my system. I was trying to fix it. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, that's those, let's say, unexpected issues that may happen in online classes, modern technology. These issues are, let's say, inevitable. Okay, I was talking about the Swale's modification on the four moves of the introduction. Yeah, later on, Swale talks about kind of modification. Try to mix, if I'm not mistaken, the last two moves of the introduction, or trying to mix the second and the third move, and saying that when we're talking about summarizing previous research, at the same time, at the end of this move, we will be able to provide the gap. What happens here is to some extent the same. So I don't want to talk about the detail of the Swale's modification. I think so far so good. We talked about the moves of the introduction. I think the important points are clarified, and I hope you will be able to find the moves in the articles you're reading, or you will be able to write appropriate and, let's say, well-formed and well-written, well-designed introduction for your research proposal or for your thesis. If there is any comment, if there is any question so far, you can ask. And if not, we can go to the example, to the article I sent you. Mullah Khalid, yes. No need to. If you have any comment, you can open your microphone and talk. No need to raise your hand. Yeah.
Doctor, thank you. Doctor, when I wrote some thesis about concerning my title in order to write a thesis, I found in each chapter there is an introduction.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but go on.
Can we, for example, introductory overview? Is it possible to write overview, not an introduction?
Very
is it
good.
possible?
Yeah, very good. I will clarify on that. Very good point raised. Yeah, the type of introduction we talked here is the introduction. Let me clarify the point. The first, my voice is bad. Ibtisam, it seems my connection is okay. Do you hear me properly? Do you have my voice? I think my connection is okay. I fixed the problem, and it seems right now my connection is okay. I hope so. Is there any problem? Do you hear me? If you give me a feedback on...
You are now unmuted.
It's okay.
You are now muted.
Okay. I think, yeah, Ibtisam, it seems your connection has a problem. The first chapter is called the first chapter of proposal. The first chapter of the thesis is called introduction. And also, in the first chapter, which is called introduction, a title. The first title is also introduction. What we talked here about the four moves of the introduction is the introduction of the first chapter. Bear in mind, it is the introduction of the first chapter, which talks about the four moves: establishing field, summarizing previous research, preparing for present research, and, let's say, presenting present research. The first chapter, long introduction of the first chapter. What we have in other chapters, in chapter 2, in chapter 3, each chapter also starts with a title. Some may come... Zainab, do you have any comment or seems you are not? What we have in other
You are now unmuted.
very good. What do I want to say is that in second, in
You are now
third, in fourth, and in the last chapters, some may call the first title introduction. I do prefer overview, not introduction, because what do we have in those sections is not introduction, is actually an overview of the chapter. The first title of the second chapter, the first title of the third chapter, those are overview, actually overview of the chapter. It is better, I think Mona asked this good question. It is better to write overview instead of introduction for second, third, for those other chapters, because those are overview. Because in that heading, we'll talk about, for example, in this chapter, I will talk about the detailed methodology, talking about the third chapter, the detailed methodology of this study, talking about the participants, talking about the instruments. A very brief overview of the chapter is provided. So I prefer, as you said, I prefer, let me finish my comment and I'll listen to
the internet is bad. Yes, please repeat it.
Which part? Repeat which part, Ibtisam? I didn't get the point. Problem in your connection.
I didn't hear you about
what we have in the first chapter. In the first chapter, we have long introduction. What we have in other chapters, in chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, the first title, I prefer to use view instead of introduction, because what we write there is overview of the chapter, not introduction. So I recommend you to write overview instead of introduction. That's better, because what do we have there is not introduction, actually is overview of the chapter. So I think writing overview for the first title of chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, overview is better than introduction. I think the point is clarified.
Yes, thank you, Doctor, for your clarification.
You're welcome. Okay. So I think now we can go to the example. If you have access to the article, you can go to the article. Okay. I think we talked about the abstract, huh? This is a language learning strategies, huh? We talked about the abstract, if I'm not mistaken. Yes or no?
You are now unmuted.
Doctor, yes, we talked about abstract.
Yes, okay.
You are now
Now we can talk about the introduction. Did you analyze the introduction? If I'm not mistaken, I asked you to analyze the introduction at home. You analyze it?
Yes.
Fine. Yeah. Okay. Would you please tell us the moves the four moves of the introduction. Yeah.
Yes, doctor.
Mhm.
Can you show the article with us, or
Yeah, I can share it. You do not have access to, because I also shared it in Telegram group. I thought that would have this. Because when I share something on the screen, the quality of net decreases. Let me find the article. Do you want to study the article right now?
yes, doctor, I studied it and I have it.
If you have the article, there is no need to share the article on the screen.
Yes,
You can
doctor,
talk. You
yes.
can talk, because I think all the students have access to the article, and if you refer to the appropriate part, they will find it. Mm-hmm.
Yes, doctor. Yes, doctor.
Yeah.
Yes, no problem. Yes. I think the second half of the 20th century can be called the age of individualism, when individual values and differences were recognized and respected. This is, I think, establishing the field.
Mm-hmm. The first move.
Yes, this is the first move.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the page 142, the first line in it, then this shift of work on the way education is viewed and practiced, individual differences.
The first, the shift of attention has left its mark. Okay. What is this? Hmm. Oh, now you.
Yes, do you hear me, doctor?
Yeah, right now, yes. Hmm. No, I don't have your voice.
Do you hear me, doctor?
Yeah, right now, yes. Yeah. Go on. You said something about the shift of attention has left its mark. I don't have your voice, Mona.
Sorry, doctor, that's a problem.
Yeah. You said
The
something
first,
about, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Go on.
yes,
Go on.
doctor.
Go on.
The first sentence of the introduction represents establishing the field.
Very good.
Since it elaborate on the general of the study, and the last paragraph, which contains research question and indicating the gap, represents the third move.
How about the second move? How about the third move? You jumped to the last move suddenly.
Yes, doctor, I mentioned it, but the problem with my voice.
Yeah, I didn't have your voice. Yeah,
Yes,
if you
sorry,
mentioned
doctor.
I didn't have your voice. Yeah. In some
Yes,
cases,
the second move, I think, the shift of attention.
The shift of attention. Again, we lost you. Seems that there is problem in your connection. I don't have your voice. It seems you're talking right now, but I don't hear you. I don't know. But how about you? Do you hear Mona right now? Seems there is a problem in her connection. Okay, anybody else wants to talk about? Let me tell you something before talking about the moves. Sometimes it is not really, let's say, an easy task to find the exact boundary, exact, let's say, demarcation between the moves. Say that, for example, up to here is the first move, and from here to that paragraph is the second move. Sometimes it is not possible to find the exact boundary, exact location of the moves. Sometimes there is overlap between the moves. But the important point is that to find the idea in what is writing is important. Yes, for example, you may, in this example, you may say that the first paragraph of page 142, I don't know, the shift of attention is the beginning of the second move, or somebody else may say that there is an irony here. However, some may say that from here is the beginning of the second paragraph. That makes no problem, actually. It sometimes it is not possible to say the exact location or exact place of the, let's say, boundary between the moves. What is important is to find the rhythm, to find, let's say, the flow of information. And it is important when you say that here in this part that the writer, that the author is talking about a previous study, it means summarizing previous research is given. Okay. I got a point you raised, Mona, to some extent. Would you please, it seems there is problem in Mona's connection. Would somebody else tell me?
Yes, doctor.
Yes,
So sorry.
you are still with us. Yeah, thank you. How about the third move? How about the third move?
Yes, doctor.
How about the
third move? The third move, it begins with when there is the research question, is there any relationship between EFIL?
That's not the third move.
That's research questions.
Yeah, research question is written at the end. What do we have? What do we have here? Research
relative revival of interest can be attributed to the event. This is the beginning of the third move, indicating the gap. Then research question.
Yeah, it seems you are right. Yeah, on page 143, the second paragraph, the relative revival of interest can be attributed to the advent of a new intelligence theory, namely multiple intelligence of Howard Gardner. In this view, intelligence is viewed as being a composite of different abilities. Attitude. The theory right now includes 9 intelligences. It talks about 9 intelligences. And step by step, here up to the next paragraph, here it seems the third move is given, trying to, the authors are trying to provide a gap of the study. And in the next paragraph, or let's say, the next paragraphs provide the last move, the fourth move. It was in the spirit of revival that the present study was conducted. Here, the purpose of the study is stated clearly. It was in the spirit of this revival that the present study was conducted. Drawing on the theory of multiple intelligence, the study tried to find out whether IQ indices would show any relationship with the learner's use of language learning strategy. More specifically, the following research question. The question some of you asked, is it possible to write the research questions? Yes. Some cases, in some instances, some examples, you can see that at the end of the introduction, the research questions of the study are mentioned. And as we can see here, the two research questions of the study are mentioned. Is there any relationship between EFL learners' multiple intelligences score and their use of different language learning strategies? And the second question is also written in the next paragraph. As a secondary question, the project also sought to determine whether any relationship exists between the construct of multiple intelligences and learners' overall proficiency measured through a retired version of IELTS. Yeah, an example of introduction, trying to follow these 4 moves of introduction. Is there any comment? Any questions so far? Any comment, any questions so far? Okay. For the next session, we'll talk about statement of the problem, because after introduction, we'll have another heading which is called statement of the problem and purpose of the study. For the next session, I will send you a PDF and identify some pages to be studied for the next page. And I will also try to send you a book. A book which is called Thesis and Dissertation Writing in a Second Language. We'll study some chapters, a very practical, a very, let's say, simple book that explain different parts of the thesis. We'll study at least 3 or 4 chapters. I will send you the PDF of that book as well, and I will tell you for the next session. We'll talk about statement of the problem and purpose of the study. I will send you the PDF of a research book, Research in Education, and I will determine those pages that should be studied. Okay, if there is any comment, any point you can ask, you can raise your questions. Is there any comment?
You are now unmuted.
Okay,
You are now
I
muted.
think that's enough for today.
You are now
That's
unmuted.
enough for today. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for your participation. Thanks for your cooperation.
You are now muted.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day.